Alright, hey guys, Only Gamer here, back with another video. Apologies for not uploading nearly a month. I've just been very busy. Recently, me and my family went on holiday for a week, and just been busy in my personal life pretty much. So that's why I haven't been posting in quite some time. But I'm back now doing another episode of my online games pickup series, games I recently brought online. It's going to be episode 8, and I decided for this one I was actually going to change the format, so instead of just recording behind the camera with the stuff on my desk showing the games in front of you, I decided I'm going to film this in the same way I filmed my birthday video, and behind my shelf and showing off the games. So so we have not too many to show off in this episode, but I still feel you guys are going to enjoy it regardless. So I don't want this being too long of a video, because I find that a lot of these pickups videos, I tend to talk a lot and just ramble for most of it, so it ends up being really, really long. So I'm going to try my best not to make this another half an hour long video, but we'll see. But anyway, so let's get straight into it. So I actually teased these first two games here in my last episode of games I recently brought online. That's because I brought these just before I filmed the last episode, but they've now turned up, of course. And they are, I'm going to show them both off together. They're two Sega Mega Drive games, Desert Strike and Jungle Strike, the sequel to Desert Strike. So, got these two classic EA games right here for the Mega Drive. In case you guys forgot or just aren't aware, I did get a Sega Mega Drive finally for Christmas last year. I got an original Model 2 Mega Drive, and now I'm finally able to buy games for it. So let's start off with Desert Strike right here. Of course, this game's an absolute classic. So this was a game that I remember I was introduced from my dad, actually, because my dad owns this as well as Jungle Strike, and he's still got his original copy, and that's how I was introduced to the Strike series, actually, was just playing my dad's original copies of both these games. He didn't have Urban Strike, though. I do have that one. I have a loose card copy of Urban Strike, which I only got for £5 at a car boot sale. But this is a complete in-box copy of Desert Strike, as you can see right there. So got the manual and the cartridge, and it's in pretty good shape. I mean, there is a chip right there, as you can see, but and it kind of doesn't close properly. But other than that, it's in pretty good condition. And then Jungle Strike here. This one has definitely seen better days. It's got some sticker residue here. It doesn't shut properly. Kind of just it just doesn't really shut properly. It has no manual, unfortunately, but it does have the cart. I have tested both of them out and they do work perfectly fine. But so I'll need to buy a manual for this at some point. But so really cool to have. I've wanted to own both these games physically for a long time, because I've had the PlayStation games, Soviet and Nuclear Strike, for years, and I got Urban Strike last year at a car boot sale. So now I've got these, I've finally got the entire Strike series, so I'm really happy to have that. And they were both relatively cheap as well. I think I only paid about £6 for Desert Strike and £7 for Jungle Strike, something like that. So really cool to have, and obviously cool to have more Sega Mega Drive games. I've only got 7 or so at the moment, 7 or 8 games, including loose cart ones, and I've only got 5 complete in-box ones, but can't wait to get more Mega Drive games in the future. But anyway, moving on. The next game here is actually another Mega Drive game, but it's a loose cart one, unfortunately. Really cool game this is, and I've wanted to own this for a really long time. Vector Man. Yes, this is a classic 2D run and gun game for the Mega Drive. A very late release for the system. Came out the same year as the Sega Saturn. This game is on pretty much every Sega Mega Drive compilation there is, pretty much all of them you can think of. Mega Drive Collection for PS2, PSP, Ultimate Collection, aka Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for 360, PS3, and Genesis Classics / Mega Drive Classics for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, etc. I mean, you can play this game on pretty much any system now, but it's cool to have an actual copy of the game. This cost me about £6.80, something like that. It is a shame it's only loose cart, and you can probably see as well the label's actually starting to peel off, as you can see here. The glue on it is getting so old now that it just doesn't stick anymore. But yeah, it's really cool to have. It's such a shame the sequel, Vector Man 2, never came out in this country. That only came out in America, which is a shame, because I actually like Vector Man 2 more than the original. They're both really solid games, but yeah, it's just a shame we never got a second game here. Yeah, not much I can say really. Vector Man, really solid running gun for the Mega Drive. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend you do. And yeah, really enjoying clicking for the Mega Drive so far. Alright, so moving on to the next game here, we have a Xbox 360 game, and it's one I've wanted for a very, very, very long time, and that is Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Yes, I mentioned in previous videos that for the longest time I wanted a complete Tekken collection. I wanted all the mainline games, all the mainline console games at least, in the series. And for the longest time it was really only Tekken 7 and this one, Tag Tournament 2, I was missing. I finally got Tekken 7 back in April, which I showed off in a past CX Pickups video. And now I finally got Tag Tournament 2. So I've got all of them now, of course, until January when Tekken 8 comes out, but until then, I've got all of them. About time and all, you know, because I've had the PS1 and PS2 Tekken games for forever now, but yeah, this cost me about £6, I think it was. This is a pretty pricey game now, I'm not entirely sure why, but Tag Tournament 2 is like pretty pricey. I mean, it's not like too expensive, but it's usually like around 8 to like 15 quid or thereabouts. Yeah, got that complete. Really good condition copy, by the way. I haven't tested it out yet, but I really need to. I really enjoyed the first Tag Tournament, actually. It was probably like my favourite Tekken on the PS2. But yeah, so really happy to finally have this. I will get Tekken 8 at some point, when I eventually get a PS5, for sure. But yeah, for the time being, I now have all the console Tekkens. So very, very happy about that. Right, moving on. We have... oh shit, something just dropped on the floor. Moving on, we have a Sonic game. One that I already have for another system, but this one I wanted for a while, mainly because this one was actually a different game, from what I heard. And that is Sonic Unleashed for the PS2. Now, yeah, I got the 360 version right there of Unleashed. It was never like my favourite 3D Sonic game or anything. I thought it was alright, you know, but... and I'm actually one of the few people that actually didn't really mind the warehouse stages, but yeah, I want the PS2 version, mainly because, well, for one, it was the only Sonic game I actually didn't own for the PS2. I have all of them right here: Heroes, Mega Collection Plus, Gems Collection, and the 2 Riders games. I also have Shadow the Hedgehog somewhere else as well, in like storage at the moment. And yeah, this was the only one I didn't have. Well, at least main Sonic game. I mean, I know there's like Sega Superstars and all that, but in terms of like actual proper just Sonic games, this was the only one I was missing. So yeah, and this one, as well as the Wii version, which is a port of this, or this is a port of that, depending on which way you look at it, was actually a slightly different game compared to the HD version. So that's why I brought it. You know, it was fairly cheap. It was only like £5 or so, and it's complete, as you can see there. So. Yeah, I just wanted to just try it out to see if what it was like. I did play a little bit of it, and I mean, it's definitely not as good as the 360 version. I mean, it's kind of at the moment, but I've only been playing it for like a few hours or so. But yeah, still cool to have. Ready to go back and play it some more. But definitely need to get more games in my Sonic collection, actually, because there's still quite a few that I'm missing. But yeah. Alright, moving on, we have some PlayStation 1 games here. Now these next two I'm going to show off together, because I actually bought both of these together as a bundle. And these were pretty expensive. These next two are Wipeout 2097 and Fighting Force for the original PlayStation. So yeah, so I got both of these together as a bundle. They were about £24 for both of them. Pretty pricey, I know. Let's just... I'll put that one here for now. Just talk a little bit about them. So, yeah, Wipeout 2097. I've owned the original for a very long time. I've got the platinum version of the original. It's in pretty bad shape, actually. I mean, there's like a massive like crack on the front of the case and stuff, and there's scratches like on the front of the disc. It's the platinum copy of the game. There's scratches all across the front. It still works, but yeah, it's in very bad shape. Compared to this one, this was a really good condition, actually, of the sequel, Wipeout 2097. It's got the original sticker as well, like talking about like the music and stuff in the game. And it is complete. There's a manual and the disc. So yeah, so I guess at this point I might as well get Wipeout 3 as well, because that's the only Wipeout for the original PlayStation I don't have. I never really was into Wipeout. I mean, it's a fun game, but I don't know, I never really got as into it as some other people did. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying out the sequel. And then Fighting Force, this was the main reason why I actually brought these two games together. You know, Wipeout was pretty much just a bonus. I mainly wanted it for Fighting Force, because this was a game that I wanted to play for a very, very long time. Basically, in case you didn't know, it was made by Core Design, the same developers, well, the original developers behind Tomb Raider for the PS1. And basically, this game has a very interesting story behind it. Long story short, this was going to be it's a 3D beat 'em up, and it was at one point going to be Streets of Rage 4. You know, it was in development for the Sega Saturn, like Core and Sega were working out a deal with each other, and yeah, this was going to be essentially Streets of Rage 4 on the Saturn. But eventually that deal fell through because Core wanted it to be released on the PlayStation as well, because the PlayStation was obviously kicking the Saturn's ass everywhere except Japan, of course. And yeah, and then became its own thing. So, of course, eventually Streets of Rage 4 would come out, like 17 plus years later or whatever. But, you know, for the longest time, this was kind of the closest we had to Streets of Rage 4. And I really wanted to play this game, like, for the longest time, because I absolutely love Streets of Rage. It's one of my favourite game series ever. You know, I absolutely love those games, and I always wanted to try out Fighting Force. It's complete, and yeah, and I gave it a go, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is basically exactly what I just described it as. It's pretty much just 3D Streets of Rage. You know, if you love the Streets of Rage games or Final Fight or beat 'em up games in general, give this one a go. It is a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm really happy to finally have this, because I've wanted this game for fucking forever now. For as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to play that game. And I'm so glad I finally got it. And speaking of Fighting Force, I also ended up buying the sequel, Fighting Force 2, which this one was about 10 quid, thereabouts. So yeah, Fighting Force 2 is very unique because it's kind of really its own thing. It's only Fighting Force in name only. This game is more of like a third-person shooter than an actual beat 'em up. I mean, there's light beat 'em up combat elements in it. I mean, you can like beat people up with like, you know, your fists and kicks and stuff. But mainly, most of the game you're using guns, and yeah, it's kind of it's a completely different game, pretty much. I mean, you play as Hawk, you know, from the first game, and you know, other than that, there's really no connection between this and Fighting Force 1. It's actually a lot of fun, you know. This game's I've heard nothing but bad things about it for the longest time, but I actually, you know, played it myself, and it's a decent little third-person shooter. I mean, it's nothing like the original, you know, it's completely different, but honestly, like, if you just ignore the fact it's called Fighting Force, it's actually a decent little game. I really don't understand the hate behind this. It's actually quite a lot of fun. But, yeah, this one doesn't have the manual, unfortunately. I'm trying to get one at the moment, but no one's selling it separately. Well, at least not the PlayStation version. You know, you could find like the Dreamcast manual on its own pretty easily, but at the moment, like, no one's selling the PlayStation manual on its own, which really sucks. But yeah, this is a really fun game. I really don't understand the hate behind it, but yeah, really happy to finally have both Fighting Force games, because, you know, I've wanted to play that and the first one for forever now, and yeah, they're both really fun. Alright, now, so moving on, this is the final game of today's episode. Pro Skater 1 2. This is the Xbox Series X / Xbox One version. So yeah, this is my first Series X and Xbox One game, because it says at the bottom there, includes both Series X and Xbox One version of the game. So yeah, I do also want to get the original Xbox One release of Pro Skater 1 2. This is the Series X one. But yeah, and I also need to get the PS5 version as well, which that will be like the first game I get for my PS5 when I eventually get one. I haven't brought one just yet. I'm saving up to get a PS5, but the first game I buy for it will definitely be Pro Skater 1 2. So yeah, so not really much to say. You know, obviously I can't play it. I brought it solely for the collection. Like I said, guys, I'm trying to get every version of all the games. It does include the ones I can't play, so there it is. Nothing else inside. I don't think it came with anything originally, but yeah, it's still really cool to have. But yeah, who knows if I'll ever get like a Series X at some point, because at the moment, you know, I'm definitely saving up my money to get a PS5. You know, that's the system I'm thinking of going with for, like, you know, for the 9th gen. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get a Series X at some point, or an Xbox One. You know, who knows, because this includes both versions. But yeah, it's still really cool to have. You know, obviously it sucks I can't play it, but, you know, I do have the PS4 version and the Switch version of Pro Skater 1 2, so I can just play those. But yeah, still need to get the Xbox One original and PS5 versions, and I'll have every version of the 1 2 remake. So yeah, that's about it, guys. That's it for today's episode. Games Over Super Online. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, just a bunch of random games as usual for these videos. So yeah, like I mentioned before, I am saving up to get a PS5 at the moment. I actually got like quite a lot of money for my birthday, because my parents like knew that I was trying to save up for a PS5. The games I'm thinking of getting for it is, of course, Pro Skater 1 2, the physical release. And Spider-Man 2, I definitely want to get. Tekken 8, I definitely want to get. I'm thinking of getting the new RoboCop game, Rogue City. Looks pretty good, actually. I'm thinking of getting that as well. That's only on like current gen systems at the moment. It's not on like PS4 or anything. And yeah, that's kind of it at the moment. I mainly just want to get like exclusives, pretty much, for the PS5, or games that like aren't going to be released on like the old consoles, because I'm still on like the base PS4 at the moment. So yeah, so hopefully within the next few months or so, or whenever, maybe Christmas, who knows, I want to get a PS5. But yeah, anyway, that's all I really have to say. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and peace. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care now.